everyone, welcome to AutoToday. My name is Abhik and today marks a very special day for Mahindra as the Scorpio brand gets reinvented after nearly 2 decades of the older generation running. This is an all-new generation, all-new car, and we've come all the way to its birthplace, which is Chakan in Pune. And well, this is a little outside Chakan. We're going to drive this car on the highway and then onto a dedicated off-road course to get a full experience of how it performs on various surfaces and overall as well. Stick around because there's a lot to talk about in this car. I'm going to give you all the information about the brand new Scorpio-N. The new Scorpio-N presents itself as a modern SUV that's looking to entice its fans, both old and new, with brand new overalls. Still sitting on an old school ladder frame chassis, the Scorpio-N decidedly looks bold and butch given its huge dimensions, making other SUVs of a similar category or even from higher priced ones look comparatively smaller. There's little to no resemblance to the older generation Scorpio with its wide rectangular grille, and complemented with rectangular twin headlamps, they highlight the wide stance of the SUV. The sides have distinctive design elements like a chrome strip running along the bottom of the window line to the top of the rear glass, representing the Telson or the stinger of a Scorpion. Mahindra has also maximized the body-to-glass area ratio to enhance the Scorpio-N's butch visage. You might mistake the rear of the car for a Swedish manufacturer's model, but look closely and the design progression of the older Scorpio becomes evident with the long LED strip in the tail lamps. The design is undoubtedly appealing and bold, yet seems a little restrained and may not age as well as the SUV it replaces. Step inside the cabin of the Scorpio-N and what greets you is a stark contrast to the Scorpio of yore. For leather on the dash and seats, a choice of premium colors for the cabin, while the overall fit and finish is as comparable to the XUV 700. There were no rattles and squeaks to complain about, neither did the feature list disappoint. This new Scorpio-N packs all the latest features that one expects of a car that costs close to 20 lakh rupees. Space on offer is very generous in the first and second row, the width of the cabin contributing to the expansive feel in the front seats with a short dashboard and a clear view of the bonnet and the front. The ORVMs are huge to help the driver get a clear view of the sides, while rear visibility through the manual and slightly flimsy IRVM is still great. The second row gets options of captain seats or a bench, both of which are tumble and fold type, and quite obviously the bench offers the flexibility of seating 3 average size individuals fairly comfortably. The last row, like any other SUV, seats the passengers in a knees-up position, thus taller individuals will struggle to fit and be comfortable. This last row is best reserved for children. Now, safety is also an important factor to be highlighted as the new Scorpio-N arrives hot on the heels of the XUV 700 that has recently received a 5-star global NCAP rating, so it's safe to assume that the Scorpio-N would be just as safe with 6 airbags, traction control, electronic brake distribution, and other safety features loaded in the top trims. So we've come to Lonavala and of course, as you can see, it's raining pretty heavily. But we've thoroughly enjoyed the Scorpio so far, and in the driver's seat is where you'll see the maximum number of changes. First of all, let's start with the chassis. It's still an old school body on ladder frame, but it still works. So, well, why bother changing it? They've stuck to the roots of the Scorpio, but what's new is the fact that Mahindra has extensively worked on the ride quality, and it really shows because the ride quality is actually super smooth. I mean, we've driven this car on a variety of terrains, on the expressway, on the twisties, even off-road, and it has actually shown through. The suspension setup is so good. Bad stretches, it simply irons them out. I mean, you don't even have to lift off the throttle to slow things down, except for times when you hit hardcore, gnarly off-road terrain where the driving also becomes technical. For all other things, this ride quality just simply works. Second thing is the handling. Because of the suspension, You don't really get to feel the weight of the car. It is quite a large car, it is quite heavy as well, but in the twisties again, it had absolutely no problems holding its line. Left-handers, right-handers, tighter corners, faster corners, it would simply stick to its line and do what it's told to. It is, as I mentioned, heavy. Again, you don't feel the weight of it. That is also evident from the steering wheel. The way Mahindra has designed the steering wheel, it really makes driving the new Scorpio very easy. And that's probably the most standout feature of the Scorpio. Sorry, I've been saying Scorpio, but this is actually the Scorpio-N. Let me correct myself there. And the Scorpio-N now gets two engine options, one being the petrol, the other one is the diesel. No prizes for guessing where these engines are coming from, because they are coming from the XUV 700, and they're great engines, pretty powerful, very torquey. Both petrol and diesel mills are super smooth. What we have with us right now is the diesel. It is mated to a 6-speed automatic transmission. This is a 2x4 variant. We've also driven a 4x4 variant with an automatic transmission, and as with newer tech, it just gets so much easier to drive something like this, because in the 4x4 variant, you just simply get two buttons instead of a manual shifter for high and for low. You also get a terrain management system which lets you select different terrains based on what you're driving on. We were driving on slushy mud and terrain with ruts actually. Pretty difficult, as you can see in the videos, but the Scorpio managed very well. Selecting a particular terrain will soften the throttle response based on your selection, and again, it makes that kind of driving a lot more easier to deal with. So this is sort of a theme which you will see once you experience the Scorpio. It is simply very easy to drive and makes it so much enjoyable despite being such a large vehicle. The Scorpio-N is so easy to drive that even in the challenging terrain that 19 degrees north offered, the SUV flawlessly tackled every obstacle that the slushy, slippery Lonavala Range brought with it. Overall, the handling of the Scorpio-N and the ease of driving stands out as substantial leaps in performance for the Scorpio-N. The new Mahindra Scorpio-N is a marked step forward in the right direction, and Mahindra has got the recipe right. The SUV looks good, albeit being a tad restrained, packs a ton of features, thus value for the prices it commands across variants, and most of all, it is mechanically modern and offers great performance from its choice of engine and gearbox options, with phenomenal ride quality and ease of driving despite being built on a ladder frame chassis. There's little to none to complain about with the new Scorpio-N, while the pricing will sting its competitors that encompass a variety of 6- and 7-seater SUVs in the category. 2 decades and one big daddy of SUVs, the Scorpio lives on as the Scorpio-N.